From bringing up Bates to big bucks. Erin and Chad's stunning $4 million home purchase. In the quiet hills of Tennessee, where family values and faith still breathe through every sunrise, a new chapter was quietly waiting for Erin Bates and Chad Paine. A couple known not just for their love, but for the way they built life together from the ground up. Years ago, Erin was a bright-eyed daughter from the famous Bates family, one of 19 children. Music was her heart, faith was her compass, and family was her purpose. When she married Chad Paine, their journey began with simplicity. A small home, humble beginnings, and endless dreams. They never chased fame. They never craved luxury. Their life was about love, children, and the peace that comes from faith. Yet behind their smiles there was always a quiet dream. To one day build a place that would hold every memory, every prayer, every song. Life had tested them many times. Erin's health had brought painful nights and silent tears. Chad worked long days, balancing jobs and family, often returning home tired but never defeated. And still, through it all, they believed, God gives beauty for ashes. One late autumn evening, as the sun dipped behind the trees, Erin sat alone at her kitchen table. The house was filled with the laughter of children, the sound of piano keys in the distance, and the faint smell of supper. She opened her laptop, not looking for anything special, just browsing, just dreaming. And then it appeared. A house. White brick, tall windows, a lake glowing under the evening light. It wasn't just beautiful, it looked like peace itself. Her heart stopped when she saw the price. $4 million. For a long time she didn't move. Her fingers hovered over the trackpad. $4 million. That number was not just big, it was impossible. But something inside her whispered, what if this is it? What if this is the place we've prayed for? That night she showed it to Chad. The glow of the laptop screen reflected in their eyes as they stared at the picture in silence. Chad smiled softly, shaking his head in disbelief. $4 million, he said quietly. That's not even in our world. Erin laughed, though her voice broke a little. I know, but look at it, Chad. It feels like home. He looked at her, the woman who had stood beside him through every hardship, every prayer, every late night of hope. And in that moment he said words that would change everything. Maybe it's impossible for us, but not for God. That night Erin couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the White House by the lake, the children running through the yard, the sound of music echoing through its walls. It wasn't about money. It was about a dream they thought they could never have. As dawn broke over the Tennessee sky, Erin whispered a prayer. Not for wealth, not for fame, but for guidance. Lord, if this dream is from you, show us the way. Outside, the morning light touched the old wooden fence, the worn porch, the life they had built with love and sacrifice. Neither of them knew then, but that single prayer was about to open a door that would lead them to something far greater than a house. It would lead them to the test of faith, trust, and destiny itself. Fade to light. The music swells softly. A piano plays in the background, echoing the sound of Erin's heart. The next morning, a cool breeze swept through the Tennessee hills. The golden leaves danced quietly across the small road that led out of town, a road Erin Bates and Chad Paine had driven countless times before. But today the road felt different. It was leading them somewhere new, somewhere unknown. Inside their old pickup truck, Erin sat quietly, her hands folded in her lap, her heart racing faster than the sound of the tires beneath them. Beside her, Chad's eyes were focused on the road, steady, calm, though his mind carried 1,000 thoughts. They weren't sure why they were doing this. The house cost more than they could ever imagine affording. Yet something inside them, something deep and unexplainable, kept whispering, "Go see it." After an hour's drive, they turned off the main road and entered a long winding driveway. The trees formed an arch overhead, sunlight spilling through like heaven's own spotlight. The world felt still, as if holding its breath for what was about to happen. And then there it was. The mansion stood tall and proud, its white walls gleaming under the morning sun. A lake shimmered in the distance. Wind brushed through the tall grass, carrying with it a strange sense of peace and possibility. Erin's eyes filled with tears. She couldn't speak. Her heart whispered, "It's real." For a long moment she just stood there, silent, overwhelmed, her eyes tracing every curve of the house, every window that seemed to smile at her. Chad, standing beside her, took a deep breath. "It's beautiful," he said softly, "but it feels like more than just a house." They walked up to the front door, the sound of their footsteps echoing across the marble porch. A real estate agent greeted them, polite smile, warm handshake, a practiced voice that hid curiosity. The couple stepped inside, and for a moment, everything else faded. The grand hallway stretched before them, sunlight pouring through tall windows, touching every corner like grace itself. A crystal chandelier shimmered softly. The air felt calm, sacred, almost. Erin's hand brushed along the wall as she whispered, "It feels alive." The agent smiled. "The owners say it's been waiting for the right family." Room after room unfolded before them. A grand piano room that felt like it had been built for her music. A kitchen big enough to hold her children's laughter. A porch where sunsets could be watched in silence. Every corner felt familiar, like something from their prayers had taken shape here. When they stepped out into the backyard, Erin stopped. The lake was calm. The trees reflected perfectly on its glassy surface. For a moment, it felt like heaven had touched earth. "I can see our kids running here. I can see us sitting by the water talking about life. And maybe one day this could really be ours." But then reality struck, the numbers, the bills, the world outside their faith. For $1 million. The dream that looked so close now felt miles away again. Erin's expression changed. The sparkle in her eyes dimmed a little. She looked at Chad. "Even if we sold everything, Chad, we'd still be nowhere near it." Chad stayed quiet. His eyes were still on the water. After a long pause, he said quietly, "Maybe it's not about money. Maybe it's about believing that God can open doors even when they're locked." His words hung in the air like a prayer. They stood there for a long time. No words, just wind, sunlight, and the sound of faith quietly breathing between them. As they drove away, Erin looked back one last time. The mansion grew smaller in the rearview mirror, but her heart couldn't let go. She whispered, almost in tears, "If it's meant to be, Lord, don't let me forget it." The camera slowly zooms in on the house once more. Sunlight reflecting on the windows like hope itself. The piano plays softly in the background, the same melody Erin once wrote on a rainy night long ago. Night had fallen over the Paine home. The children were asleep, the house quiet except for the soft ticking of the old wall clock. Erin sat on the couch, her laptop glowing faintly in the dark, the same house still open on the screen. Her eyes lingered on the pictures. The white walls, the lake, the porch where she had stood that morning. It felt like she could still smell the pine trees, still hear the silence of that place. A silence that had felt like peace. But now, sitting in the stillness of her small living room, that peace felt far away. Chad walked in holding 2 cups of tea. He sat beside her, handing one over. Neither of them spoke for a while. The glow from the laptop screen reflected in their eyes. 2 souls caught between faith and fear. It feels wrong to even dream about something that big, when there are people who have so little. Dreams aren't wrong, Erin, as long as they don't replace gratitude. She looked at him, tears quietly forming. "It's not the money. It's just, I can't shake the feeling that God showed us that house for a reason." Chad nodded, his gaze steady. "Then let's pray. Not for the house, but for understanding." That night, their prayer wasn't long or fancy. Just a quiet moment, hands held tight, whispering for guidance in the middle of uncertainty. Days turned into weeks. Erin returned to her daily routine. Homeschooling the kids, working on her music, balancing life like she always had. But the image of the house never left her. Every time she played the piano, her mind drifted back to that echoing room where her fingers had once brushed across the grand keys. Meanwhile, Chad had been thinking too, searching, calling, planning. He didn't tell Erin at first. He didn't want to raise false hope. But late one evening, he walked into the kitchen holding a small folder. "I talked to a realtor today." Erin froze, looking up from the dishes. "You did what?" "I just asked if the house was still available." Erin's heart raced. "And, Chad, it is. And they dropped the price. Not much, but enough to make me think maybe, just maybe, it's not impossible anymore." Erin covered her mouth with her hand, eyes wide. It wasn't about the discount. It was about the timing. How could something so random feel so intentional? That night, she sat at the piano. The melody came to her naturally, soft, slow, trembling between hope and hesitation. She named the song "The House by the Lake." As days passed, little signs began to appear. A new music project Erin had prayed for suddenly got approved. A construction client of Chad's offered him a major contract that could help them save more than ever before. It felt as though doors were slowly opening, not all at once but one at a time, like a quiet whisper saying, "Keep going." But not everything was easy. With every new hope came new fears. What if we're just fooling ourselves? Erin asked one night, her voice breaking. What if this is just our wishful thinking, not God's plan? Chad took her hand gently. Faith isn't about knowing. It's about trusting, even when you don't see the ending. Erin looked down. A tear rolled down her cheek. I want to believe. I really do. Chad smiled softly. Then let's keep believing together. Weeks later, Erin got a call she would never forget. A friend from church, someone who knew their story, their struggle, their heart, reached out with unexpected words. I know someone looking to bless a family who truly walks by faith. Would you mind if I told them about you? Erin stood still, the phone pressed against her ear, tears filling her eyes. She didn't say yes immediately. She couldn't even speak. When she hung up, she walked to the backyard, the evening sky glowing orange and pink. The wind brushed her hair gently as she whispered, Lord, I don't know where this is leading, but I'll follow. The piano music returns, slow, emotional, layered with faith and vulnerability. The camera pans upward. The Paine home glows softly in the dusk, the world around them peaceful but filled with quiet anticipation. Morning sunlight streamed through the kitchen window of the Paine home, turning the small wooden table golden. The smell of coffee mixed with the sound of children's laughter, the kind of noise that fills a house with life. But on this morning, Erin sat quietly, her hands wrapped around her coffee cup, her mind elsewhere. It had been weeks since that unexpected phone call, the one that left her trembling and speechless. Someone wanted to bless a family. It sounded unbelievable, almost too perfect to be true. Since that day, Erin hadn't stopped wondering. Could this really be God's hand? Could this be the way? She didn't tell many people. Only Chad knew. He didn't want to build castles of hope too early, but deep down even he felt something shifting, like the air itself was whispering change. That morning, as Chad prepared to leave for work, Erin followed him to the door. Do you really think something like this could happen for us? I don't know how, but I know who. He leaned forward, kissed her forehead and left. Erin stood there for a long moment after the door closed, her heart heavy with both faith and fear. The days passed in slow motion. Every ring of the phone made her heart skip. Every email notification made her stop and breathe. Then one evening it came. A call from the same friend who had reached out weeks earlier. Her voice on the other end was calm but trembling with excitement. Erin, they heard your story. They saw the videos, the music, the way you live your life. They want to meet you and Chad. Tomorrow. Erin froze. Tomorrow, she whispered. She could barely speak. Tears welled up in her eyes as she hung up the phone. Her hands shook. Her breath caught. She whispered into the empty room. Lord, is this really happening? The next day, Erin and Chad drove to Nashville, the same route they'd taken when they first saw the dream house. Only this time their hearts were heavier, their prayers quieter, their hope stronger. They arrived at a small cafe. A couple waited by the window, kind faces, simple smiles, the kind of people whose eyes carry peace. Introductions were warm, but Erin could barely focus. Her heart raced. Her hands trembled as she held her cup. The conversation started with laughter, small talk, stories of family and faith. But soon it turned toward the topic that neither Erin nor Chad dared to mention first, the house. The woman looked at Erin, her eyes filled with quiet kindness. We've followed your journey for years, she said softly. The way you both live, the way you trust God in everything, it touched us. You remind us of how we used to dream when we had nothing. Chad and Erin exchanged a quick, surprised glance. The man spoke next. We've been praying for months, asking God to show us a family we could help. And somehow your names kept coming up. Erin's breath hitched. Chad leaned forward, silent, waiting. The woman smiled, tears in her eyes now. We can't buy you the house, but we can help you take the first step. The down payment, the closing costs, we want to cover it. For a moment, time stopped. Erin couldn't speak. Her lips trembled, her eyes flooded with tears. It felt like her heart forgot how to beat. You have no idea what this means to us." The woman reached across the table, taking Erin's hand. "It's not from us," she said softly. "It's from him. We're just the messengers." That night, Erin and Chad drove home in silence. The radio played softly, but neither of them really heard it. Erin stared out the window. The stars glimmered above the quiet road. Her heart was full, yet trembling. Finally, she spoke. "Chad, what if we actually get it? What if that house really becomes ours?" Chad smiled, eyes fixed on the road. "Then we'll fill it with everything that brought us here. Faith, family, and gratitude." She leaned her head against the window, tears rolling silently down her cheeks. Outside, the world looked the same, but inside, everything had changed. Weeks later, paperwork began. Phone calls, emails, prayers. Some nights, Erin would wake up in fear, afraid that the deal might fall through, that the dream might slip away. But every time doubt tried to whisper, faith spoke louder. When they finally received the call, the final approval, the words, "It's yours," Erin dropped to her knees in the middle of the kitchen floor. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "Thank you, God. Thank you for not forgetting." Chad knelt beside her, wrapping his arms around her as their children ran into the room, laughing, asking what happened. "We got it, kids. The house by the lake. It's ours." The room erupted in joy, laughter, hugs, tears, prayers. The sound of a family celebrating not wealth, but a promise fulfilled. The camera pans to the White House by the lake. Sunlight glows across the water as the Paine family walks through the front door for the first time. Erin's hand touches the wall. The piano is placed by the big window. She sits down, closes her eyes, and begins to play The House by the Lake. The melody floats through the air, soft, pure, filled with gratitude. The camera pulls back, showing the house standing proudly under the golden Tennessee sky. A dream once impossible, now a living miracle. Fade to black. Piano music continues softly. The first morning in the new house felt like waking inside a dream. Sunlight poured through tall windows, scattering golden light across the marble floor. The air smelled of fresh paint and new beginnings. Erin stood by the kitchen counter, a cup of tea in her hand, her eyes wandering over the lake that shimmered just beyond the glass doors. It was quiet, almost too quiet. The children were still asleep upstairs, and Chad was outside, fixing a fence that didn't even need fixing. Sometimes, when miracles arrive, people need to touch something real just to make sure they're still awake. Erin took a deep breath. Gratitude overflowed, but so did something else. A strange weight that she couldn't explain. For months, this house had been their dream. Now that it was theirs, she wondered, can we really live up to the gift we've been given? The days that followed were filled with excitement. Friends from church came to help unpack. Family visited, their laughter echoing through the grand hallways. The house came alive with children's voices, piano music, and the aroma of Erin's cooking. Every room told a story. The music room where Erin placed her white piano near the window, the porch where Chad hung a wooden swing, the big family table where they promised to always eat together. For a while it felt perfect, until the quiet challenges began to surface. The bills were bigger now. The maintenance costs, the property taxes, the endless repairs that come with size. They arrived one by one, quietly but relentlessly. Chad worked harder than ever, sometimes coming home long after the children were asleep. Erin tried to keep everything steady, homeschooling, filming small music projects, keeping the house warm with life. But there were nights she sat by the piano, her fingers still, her heart heavy. God gave us this home. So why does it still feel like we're not enough for it? The dream house was beautiful, but it was also big. And sometimes even blessings can echo too loudly. One evening after a long day of work, Chad came home exhausted. He dropped his tools by the door, sat down on the steps, and rubbed his eyes. Erin came over, sitting beside him. They didn't need words. The silence said it all. "I miss the little house sometimes." Chad smiled weakly. "I do too. It was small, but it never felt heavy." She nodded. "This one feels like it needs more from us, more time, more money, more energy." Chad looked up at the dark sky. Maybe that's the point. Maybe God didn't give it to make life easier, but to teach us how to trust Him even more. Erin leaned her head on his shoulder, tears forming quietly. She whispered, "Then teach me how to trust like that." Weeks turned into months. Slowly they learned how to live again. not as people who owned a miracle but as people entrusted with it. Erin began hosting small gatherings, music nights with local families, prayer evenings with friends. The house that once felt heavy began to breathe again, filled not with pressure, but with purpose. Children ran barefoot through the halls, laughter bouncing off the walls. Chad built a wooden cross near the lake, a small reminder of where their story began. And Erin, she played her piano every morning, letting the notes rise and fall across the water. Each melody felt like a prayer, sometimes for strength, sometimes for peace, always for gratitude. Then one evening, as the sun set behind the hills, she stood by the lake, watching her children chase fireflies. She thought about everything, the fear, the faith, the long nights of prayer, the moment they got the call, the day they stepped into this house for the first time. Her heart overflowed. She realized that blessings aren't meant to make life perfect. They're meant to reveal how perfect God's timing really is. She turned toward the house, the lights glowing softly in the dusk, and whispered, "Thank you, Lord, not just for the home, but for the journey that brought us here." The piano music swells, gentle, reflective, full of peace. The camera drifts slowly upward, the Paine family together on the porch, laughter rising into the twilight sky. The morning sun broke gently over the Tennessee hills. Its light spilled across the lake, painting the water gold, reflecting the white walls of the house that had once seemed impossible. Erin stood on the porch holding a cup of tea, the wind brushing her hair softly. She watched the children laughing, chasing each other across the yard, their voices carrying through the open air. Her heart was full, yet heavy with gratitude and wonder. For years, life had been simple yet challenging. There were quiet struggles no one could see, nights of prayer, days of sacrifice, moments of doubt. And yet, here they were, standing in a home that seemed too big to belong to anyone. I never dreamed it could feel like this. Chad stepped beside her, wrapping an arm around her shoulder. "It's more than a house, Erin. It's every prayer we whispered when we thought no one was listening." They looked out over the lake together. The reflection of the golden morning sun danced on the water, shimmering like hope itself. "Do you remember the first time we saw it? How could I forget? I thought we were just looking. And instead we were being shown a miracle." The words hung in the air like a prayer, heavy with meaning. Inside, the house was alive with family. Laughter echoed in the hallways. The piano in the music room played softly, Erin's fingers guiding each note with reverence. The children's voices rose in chorus, a song of life, hope, and joy. It wasn't the grandeur that made the house beautiful. It was everything they brought into it. Faith, love, sacrifice, and the endless determination to trust God, even when the path seemed impossible. Erin walked through the rooms, touching each wall, each window, as if blessing the house herself. She paused in the room that had first caught her heart, the music room. This is where dreams became prayers, and prayers became life. Chad joined her, taking her hand. Together they stood quietly, letting the memories and emotions wash over them. Later that evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, the family gathered by the lake. Candles flickered along the water's edge. Children sat on blankets, holding hands with their parents, listening as Erin and Chad shared the story of how this home came to be. A story of faith, hope, and divine timing. "We didn't earn this. We didn't build it alone. God led us every step of the way, through doubt, fear, and prayers that sometimes felt unanswered. This home is proof that even when we can't see the way, He is guiding us." Chad nodded, tears shining in his eyes. Faith isn't just waiting for miracles. It's trusting them, even when the road is hard. And family is the heart of every miracle. The children laughed, running to chase fireflies that glimmered like tiny stars. The wind carried their joy across the lake. Erin watched them and felt her soul swell with peace. Home isn't just where we live. It's where love, faith, and hope meet. And I've never felt more home than I do right now. Chad held her close, whispering, "And I never will forget how far faith can take us." The camera pans upward, over the lake, over the mansion, over the quiet hills bathed in golden light. A gentle piano melody rises, soft, emotional, lingering like a prayer.